All right, let's just jump right in. Have you ever stopped to wonder if the music you listen to or the movies you watch are truly free? Or are they being shaped by the very world we live in? Well, today we're digging into how this group of thinkers, known as the Frankfurt School, wrestled with that exact question. We're looking at the super interesting and often pretty complicated relationship between art, capitalism, and, our own experience. And that really brings us to the big question for this whole explainer. In a world that runs on markets and money, is art just another product on the shelf? I mean, is a hit song or a blockbuster movie really all that different from a can of soup? Let's try and unpack that. So, to get to their answer, we've got to first understand the core problem they saw. For these thinkers, capitalism isn't just about economics. It's more like a filter over our eyes, one that shapes and, yeah, often kind of flattens how we see the world around us. What they argued was that this system has this really powerful and often totally invisible way of molding how we think and what we experience. It sort of distorts our vision, making some things feel totally natural and permanent when, well, they're not. And this idea is a launchpad for everything else. It all kicks off with this idea from Karl Marx called commodity fetishism. Sounds complex, but check it out. Think about your phone. What do you see? A sleek gadget with a price. What you don't see is the giant global web of actual people. The mining, the design, the assembly line. Capitalism is great at hiding all those human relationships, making the phone's value seem like it's just some magical property of the object itself, and not, from all the people who made it. Then, the philosopher George Lukács took that idea and ran with it, calling it reification. This is basically where that logic of the marketplace escapes and infects our entire way of thinking. Our messy, complicated, human world starts to feel like it's just a bunch of generic, prepackaged things. It's a serious flattening of how we experience life. Okay, so if our day-to-day thinking is getting flattened out, you'd think art would be our escape hatch, right? The one place for a real, genuine experience. Well, here's the twist. Art gets caught in the exact same machine. These two thinkers, Adorno and Horkheimer, came up with the term culture industry, and trust me, they did not mean it as a compliment. They saw culture itself being turned into an industrial process, where movies, music, and books were just being mass-produced like widgets in a factory, all standardized to make the most money possible. And what this does is create a trap, splitting our cultural world in two. Over on one side, you have pop culture. It's always promising something new and fresh, but what does it usually deliver? Predictable formulas that just kind of quiet us down without ever really satisfying us. And then on the other side, there's so-called high culture. Sure, it might have genuine artistic breakthroughs, but it's often totally inaccessible, pretty elitist, and, let's be real, it's built on the very same unfair world it claims to be above. It's like Adorno said, we're left with two torn halves, which do not add up to a whole. We're just stuck between something that's totally formulaic and something that's totally exclusionary. Neither one is giving us the full picture. So, are we just doomed? Is all hope lost? Not quite. These thinkers believed that art actually has a secret weapon to fight back. But it's probably not what you're thinking. Its real power isn't in what it says, but in how it's built. See, they were pretty skeptical of art with a really obvious political message. And why's that? Because a powerful protest song can get co-opted and used in a car commercial in a heartbeat. A revolutionary image can end up on a t-shirt. The message just gets swallowed up by the market and becomes another slogan to sell. And this is the real turning point in their whole argument. The power to push back against this flattening of our world isn't found in the surface-level stuff, not in the lyrics of a song or the plot of a movie. It's in its form, the structure, the style, the very texture of the thing. That's where the real resistance happens. So how does that even work? Well, real art fights back by actively rejecting all those easy cliches and formulas that the culture industry loves so much. It innovates with its very structure. It creates an experience that's challenging, not comfortable. And by doing that, it kind of protects its real meaning from being easily shrink-wrapped and sold. So let's get into the mechanics of this. How does a really challenging piece of art actually break the spell of our everyday, flattened-out minds and wake us up? You see, the difficulty is the point. A complex book that messes with the timeline, a piece of music that's a little jarring, an abstract movie. They don't give us what we're expecting. They force us to stop our brain's autopilot. We have to actually engage and think. And in that moment of effort, our standardized cookie-cutter way of seeing things just kind of shatters. Now, what this awakening actually feels like, well, they had slightly different takes. For Adorno, it was a moment of disillusionment. Art shows you the cracks in your own logic. For Ernst Bloch, it was way more hopeful. Art gives you a glimpse of a not yet, this hint that a better world is possible. And for Herbert Marcuse, it was all about unlocking our buried emotions, an emancipation of sensibility. But here's the key thing. None of them thought this experience gives you a simple solution or a 10-step plan to change the world. That's not its job. Its job is way more fundamental. It's there to remind us that the world is not as simple or as fixed or as unchangeable as it seems every single day. It just cracks open a window in our minds and gives us a little glimpse of what freedom could feel like. Okay, so that was a lot of pretty dense theory. What's the bottom line here? Let's pull this into the here and now and talk about why any of this actually matters to you. Look, this isn't just some snobby argument that you should only consume difficult art. It is so much bigger than that. It's really about the search for a genuine, authentic experience in a world that is desperately trying to slap a price tag on literally everything we see, hear, and feel.
It's really just an invitation to be a more conscious consumer of culture, to stop and ask ourselves, which of the things I'm watching, reading, or listening to are actually challenging me? Which ones are making me see the world, or maybe even myself, in a totally new way?
And of course, the flip side of that is asking which things are just here to make me comfortable, to distract me, to pacify me. Which ones just reinforce what I already believe? Now, there's a time and a place for both, for sure, but it's really powerful to know the difference. So, I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. When was the last time a movie, or a song, or a book made you feel genuinely uncomfortable, but, in a good way? Because that feeling, that might just be the little glimpse of freedom that these thinkers were talking about all along.